everybody. Welcome. Welcome to Edmonton Freedom Central. I'm your host. My name is Benita Pederson. I founded All Fired Up for Freedom on February 4th of this year. And for a while, my passion with the freedom movement was obviously rallies. I did lots and lots of rallies around Alberta. And I'm hosting a special show here today for you. But first, I'll tell you about my website, allfiredupforfreedom.com. You can go to the website and get a bit of information. Working on updating the website so it becomes more of a hub for you for events. So you can go and find out about freedom events on the website. Another thing you can do on the website is contact me. And you can be put on our email list. So we'll send out the occasional emails letting you know about freedom events and some freedom news and such things. Other things to do, of course, is to like and follow Edmonton Freedom Central, share posts like this one with your friends so that as many people as possible can view these broadcasts. So Edmonton Freedom Central can be found on Facebook as well as YouTube. And we're working at growing on other platforms as well and growing our audience. So I'm one of the contributors to Edmonton Freedom Central. We have multiple contributors, and I have the privilege of hosting this show. We have some great guests tonight. We're going to hear about what freedom fighters have been doing, the different ways they've been pushing back in different areas. We're going to hear about Whitecourt. We're going to hear about Lethbridge, and we're going to hear about Ottawa. So we've got a great show planned for you here today. Now, a little bit of backstory on Whitecourt. I was in Whitecourt back in February and March, and I was there doing freedom events and just helping to inspire and encourage freedom fighters. And there was one particular gentleman who attended, and I love making friends wherever I go. And he got inspired, and she got inspired, his wife. And now she's involved in some special projects, which you're going to hear about in a few moments here. Let's give her a warm welcome. Please welcome Ashley from Whitecourt. Hi, Ashley. How are you doing?
Good. How about yourself?
I'm doing just great. I'm so happy to have you as a guest on the show. I'm so glad you're available tonight.
Yes, thanks for having me on here.
This is super. I'm hearing that great things are coming out of Whitecourt. Look what I just picked up today. Check this out. Dun, dun. The Sovereign. So my understanding is this paper was created in Whitecourt and it's starting to be widely distributed. So that's just super to me that the freedom movement in Whitecourt is so incredibly active. I mean, there have been events, there's been maskless shopping. I understand there's been a petition. Now there's a paper, and you're somewhat involved in the petition, as I understand it. You're going to tell us about that. And you're very passionate about how government is run, especially at the municipal level. And you're very much interested in how they make the decisions, especially when it comes to unreasonable restrictions that they're imposing on men and women. And so you're going to share with us today, right, about some of the stuff going on in Whitecourt.
Yes, for sure. Yeah, I can tell you a little bit about my journey here and what I've I guess where I've gone with working towards convincing our local government to basically be changing their minds on the decisions that they've made so far. So back in November, actually, I wrote into the Whitecourt Town Council. There is a section of the Town Council meeting called the public input, where anyone who is a local, like a Whitecourt resident, can write in and voice their opinions. This is something that will be included in the Town Council package, and whether the town councillors decide to address this or just to have it as information is up to them. But it is something that actually one of the councillors did bring up in that meeting, and they brought it actually to a vote, saying that they would like to look to the other municipalities to see what they are doing to possibly change the decisions that the town council automatically made back on September 20th. They did decide to enact the REP policy in 2 of our town facilities, which other decisions could have been made. So I'm very thankful to that one councillor who brought up my public input information and said, yeah, well, can we take maybe a look at the other municipalities that are running at the 1/3 capacity and have made different decisions to have a more inclusionary policy in our town. Unfortunately, at this point, that motion was defeated 3-4. So we were just about there, but at least, these things are being brought up in our council meetings when maybe not all the councillors want to be talking about that. Then actually a couple weeks later, that same counselor, I'm very, very proud of him, he brought up saying maybe there's a chance that if we are going to still enact the REP policy instead of looking what the other communities are doing, learning from them and possibly enacting the 1/3 capacity, maybe the town could have more inclusion if they decided to offer rapid testing in the facilities. Unfortunately, again, that was defeated, but we're still working at different things in our town here. We had a petition go out through our community, and that was well received. So we do have like a fair amount of signatures on there, but it's unfortunate that from what we can understand from the municipal government here in Whitecourt and from the Municipal Governance Act and along with municipal affairs, that possibly the petition may not be the solution for us. It's great to garner attention and garner like-minded individuals to see that, you know, there are these people out there. We aren't the minority. So to have that going on, but unfortunately, I don't know if that's really the right route for us right now, because it does have to do with working with bylaws. And unfortunately, from what I can understand, the REP policy is more of a health order and not so much a bylaw. So we're working and hoping to learn more about what we can do to affect change in our town.
Wow. Wow. Thank you. It sounds like you've been hard at work. When did you get started in the freedom movement? When did you become active?
Well, I guess I've always been very interested in this. I had kind of a different take to this. I did run for a municipal like to be a counselor actually this fall, and due to some actions that I guess I don't, of course, believe that we should be having any of these vaccine passports and the such like that. So I did ignore one of the the rules out there, and due to that, I do believe that that was something that didn't get me elected, unfortunately. But through that, I learned a lot about what goes on in our municipal government, and from there, after being defeated in that, I have stepped forward a lot, because there's a certain amount of like I guess step back you got to take when you're running for public office there. So yeah, so but basically since October, I've been more of I guess a key person in this movement here in Whitecourt.
Oh, well, this is so great. I'm inspired by this because when I started in February in the freedom movement with freedom events and endeavors and stuff, like it was my dream to see the freedom movement grow, and then leaders like you show up, right? People that maybe they got inspired by someone, and then they're like, hey, I've got a concept and I'm gonna run with it, right? And actually, yeah. I was in Whitecourt one day, and one of your reps was at a location in Whitecourt getting signatures on that petition. And at that time, I remember the hopes were very high that this petition would yield the results they were after. And there was a lot of positivity in it. And now you're finding, okay, it's not quite working out as planned. But one of the things I've learned about endeavors is like, it's kind of like, what's that saying? Life's a journey, not a destination. So sometimes it's not always about the desired outcome reaching it. Sometimes it's about what happens on the journey, right? Like you even said, a petition, hey, helps raise awareness for the campaign, for the goals, right?
Exactly. And it really gives us more of a base of understanding who is like-minded in our communities. And then we could take that base of people, and then as we learn more about the process and the things that are going to be effective, we have that database there right for us, and have the people to garner the support.
Well, I also just want to applaud you for running for town council, because that takes a certain amount of courage as well. And that's something I was considering doing too, was running for office. But I just felt so committed to the freedom movement that I thought, oh, I can't campaign on top of this, even though it does fit in. So good for you for running and having the courage to run. I just think that is great. And isn't it so great that one of the representatives elected is at least trying to help the people interested in protecting rights and freedoms?
Yeah, we are so fortunate in Whitecourt to have actually. There's a couple that actually understand where we're coming from. So we're very lucky in Whitecourt to have that support.
That is super great. I've been reaching out to a few municipal representatives and a few others, and it's tough sometimes, because sometimes an elected representative is more about pleasing the majority of the people than standing up for what's right.
Yeah, sometimes that is the case. But luckily in Whitecourt, we do have some people that understand I guess, the bigger picture of what's happening here and really understand that they are standing up for our freedoms and for the equality of all people in Whitecourt.
Yeah, yeah, super. I'm inspired by that. I'm so happy to hear that. So, as you're moving forward and you're working on some other projects, what else? What other details would you like to share with us?
Truly at this time, probably nothing that I can say at this moment, but we're really looking forward to learning more of what we like, if other communities have had successes. Like, I'm really out here to try to learn where other people have had successes, so we're not trying to reinvent the wheel. So yeah, so we're looking to garner more information as we go, because of course this is all new to us. We've never been in this situation before, so we're here to learn. If you have great suggestions, Whitecourt would love to hear them.
Oh, well, the that is just super, and I have a hunch we might both learn a thing or two from this next guest. We're going to hear from Chelle in Lethbridge in just a few moments. Before we move on to our next guest, though, Ashley, if someone wanted to get in touch with you or in touch with any of the representatives from your group, what's the best way to go about that?
I guess probably on Facebook. We do have the Defending Freedoms Whitecourt Facebook page there. We have that going. I guess you could always just get a hold of myself directly. My number is 780-268-1900, and I'm quite easy to find around town. So if anyone would like to help, if they have ideas, anything like that, I would love to hear from you.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate that, Ashley. All right. So we're going to hear from our next guest now. We have another guest we're going to hear from tonight. And I was just on the phone with her the other day, and I'm so excited to hear about the stuff she's doing. So she's in Lethbridge, Alberta, and she's working on some special projects. And what I love about this lady is her enthusiasm and also how organized she seems to be. But when I asked her about that, she says, "Oh, it's not all me, it's the team." So I thought that's super. I love it when you have a team to work with to help. So Chelle, tell us, I guess, first tell us how you got into the freedom movement and then expand on that.
I started off actually just in October. I was starting to get frustrated with everything that's happening. I'm a parent and I'm concerned about my kids and the future. And so I decided I can't sit at home and complain if I'm not willing to stand up and actually do something and make a difference myself. So I made the decision to send a text message to Chris Sky and said, "Hey, do you want to come to a rally in Lethbridge?" And he said, "Sure." So then I had to plan a rally. So I thought I'd give myself training wheels, and I did a small one the weekend before. That was a tailgate picnic downtown, and a dozen people showed up. From there, I made connections and networked, and I met Nick, who helped me to organize our first rally, the rally Stronger Together, that was at Galt Gardens on October 25th. So, and from there, I just kept meeting more people that wanted to help. And then I decided that with all of the stuff coming at our kids right now, with them decreasing the age that can take the vaccine and increasing the coercion, I decided that it's time to put a lot of force going against them. So I decided to put out posters and start planning and hopefully inspire the world to join us on Saturday for a worldwide rally for the children. And this is going to be so exciting. I want it to be fun for kids and families and be a great experience for people in the community to get together as well, because it's so important to connect. So the idea for the rally is that we're going to have some speakers come and talk to parents and teachers and other people in the community, the grown-ups, and educate them. And we're going to provide resources. And then we're going to do for the kids, we're going to have Santa and cookies and cocoa. And if the kids want a picture with Santa, we'll do that for them and email it to the parents. There's going to be no charge for that. Actually, my young daughter's volunteered to be the photographer, and our team is setting up a fun little area, and Santa's coming and Mrs. Claus too. So we're pretty excited about that. And then we'll have some music for the kids as well. We've got someone coming to play the guitar and some music so the kids can have their own little excitement and not be too bored by the speakers, hopefully. Mhm. But we are hoping to get a horse and carriage, or sorry, a wagon with hay and do sleigh rides as well. Um, if anyone wants to volunteer in the area, we're still looking for someone. So please reach out. We are actually on Freedom Hub Lethbridge on Facebook and on Telegram is where you can reach us.
Sorry. Did you say on
Freedom Hub Lethbridge.
Freedom Hub Lethbridge, and that's a website?
That's our Telegram group and our Facebook group.
Okay, Telegram and Facebook, Freedom Hub Lethbridge. Wonderful, wonderful. So that's the way people can track you down. Yeah, I'm impressed with all that you were doing. I mean, when we were chatting the other day about your event, December 11, and all the stuff you have lined up, I'm just wow about all of that, and music and hot chocolate and everything. And we've done some of that stuff in Edmonton and area. Actually, one time I was involved in a rally in Peace River earlier this year. The weather was great, and they had a bouncy house for the kids.
Oh, that would be so fun.
Yeah, well, it was a freedom event, and the adults want to sit around and do speeches, but the kids need to have some fun too, right? And so I think that's really good. You're thinking about that. At a rally in July in Edmonton, it was one of the worldwide rallies for freedom events. I believe that was July 24th. I might have my dates messed up. Let me think here. July 24th, maybe I'm thinking of the May one. Anyway, the point is another team had organized the event, and I had been involved in a lot of events, and I thought, oh, good, I get a little mini break. Other people were organizing this one, but I just couldn't stay away. I had to be there. So I knew there would be kids at that event because the weather was gorgeous, and I dressed up as a dinosaur.
So fun.
I dressed up as a mascot dinosaur, and I went there, and a lot of people didn't know it was me, and I'm just dancing around with kids, and I had kids chasing me and whatnot. So one of the things I think is really important about these freedom events is that we lift spirits. There's a lot of people feeling discouraged right now, and the freedom events, whether they're weekly or monthly or whatever they are, they're an excellent opportunity to connect with like-minded people and feel like you're not alone. And I've spoken to many attendees at rallies who have said, before I came here, I thought I was the only one who thinks the way I did. And so I'm learning that people in our mindset, we need each other. And the rally is such a super great place to find those people, find your new family, right?
Oh, absolutely. And after our first rally, we had so many people say, I didn't know there were this many people in Lethbridge that actually were on this side of things. So it was a really nice thing to see. We're hoping to get as many people this time. And along with all of that, we're also going to be making sure that they're going home with resources. So there's different community organizations that we're reaching out to, and hopefully they'll be able to come. We also have Action for Canada and Children's Defense Canada coming, and they will be offering resources as well. So the other most important thing is that we're going to be going after a few people in the city more on a legal basis. So we're standing up, we're getting our voices heard, but we're also going to be serving the city and a few other places. I don't want to say too much about when or who, because we do like the element of surprise, but definitely City Council will be involved in being served, and school boards. So, but I won't list any more places because better to surprise them and catch them off guard, I think. And Action for Canada is going to be working with our committee on pulling this off. So we're pretty excited. Mm-hmm.
Okay, I admire your strategic plan, because I was involved in some events this weekend, and in both cases, those events were well advertised, where we're going and what we're doing. And sure enough, at yesterday's event at West Edmonton Mall, there was this event. It's just a peaceful walk through the mall, really. But West Edmonton Mall had extra security guards ready, and they had Edmonton Police Services right on hand. And these guys are pretty intimidating when you see a whole bunch of them standing in uniform with their gun on their hip, even though we're just a peaceful rally and all we're doing is we're walking through the mall. Like, it wasn't even really a rally because we didn't have a sound system going or anything. It's just peaceful people walking through the mall, right? And so they brought out their security guards, they brought out officers. So then today I was involved at a vaccine clinic, and there was a peaceful protest there, and I was there as a media person for Edmonton Freedom Central. And again, they knew we were coming because it had been well advertised, and they had bylaw there. Initially, they had Edmonton Police Service there, but then Edmonton Police Service went away, and then bylaw was there, and they had this presence that was very intimidating. So for you to be a little vague on the details right now is a very good idea indeed.
Blame it on my trust issues.
What's that?
We'll blame it on my trust issues.
That's really good. And so right now, I'm just going to plant a seed because people are a bit concerned about the mall protests and what's going to happen December 11th and December 18th. Well, the mall protests are going forward on December 11th and December 18th, but the details are changing. So we'll have the details released on Tuesday. So then you'll know what's what. But yeah, things are changing up. We have to be strategic sometimes.
Yes. The Trojan horse.
So can you elaborate a bit though about notice of liability, and can you kind of start at the beginning on that? It's not something I've tried. I mean, I've witnessed service once of notice of liability, but what's the process? What's it about? Give us a bit of a sample here.
Well, I'm going to be honest with you. That's why I have Action for Canada helping me, because I don't know a lot about it. But I do know that we're going to go with the motto, go big or go home. And it will not be as simple as just a notice of liability. That will just be the first crumb. And then it will go further than that. So when people come to the rally, we are taking signatures of support for this movement that we're doing. So when people come, they can sign. There's going to be a few different ones for the different organizations and businesses that we're serving. So people can choose which ones they would like to sign. They could sign them all if they want to be included. And we are also encouraging people to write personal letters about how this has all impacted them, the effect it's having on their life, on their livelihoods, on their children especially, or on their mental health, on anything that's been affected or turned over in their life because of these mandates and this whole scamdemic. So it's really important for us to get everybody's voice heard. And so if people bring letters, then we can put those with the documents that we're also sending. So it gives a little bit extra information to those receiving it so they can understand where we're coming from. And then the other voices we want to get heard are the youth. So if there's any youth in the area that would like to speak up, we would love to have them as speakers on our stage, even if it's a few sentences or whatever. We want to hear their voices because they deserve to be heard. This is really hard on them, psychologically, developmentally, learning. It's just really hard. And I've seen the extent of that with my own kids and their friends and how it's affecting them in school. And it breaks my heart, really, it does. We've had to fight really hard for my daughter. She's in high school and we've been fighting for her rights, and she doesn't mask at school. Yeah, just have to tell the principal his name's the first one in bold on the top of that legal document that will be on his desk. And yeah, it does make a difference.
I had some young people speak at some of the rallies in Edmonton, and it was incredibly powerful, very, very powerful. We had a 17-year-old, we had a 14-year-old, we had an 11-year-old get up and speak, and it's so powerful to hear directly from the youth, what they're going through and how they're struggling. The favorite speeches of mine is when these young people who, they're finding their courage and they're finding it within themselves, the ability to push back, right? That, and whether it's I don't wear a mask or I respectfully say no to my teacher, and they're figuring that out. And I feel so inspired by that. If a young person, 11 years old or 14 years old, 17 years old, can find that courage, well, then of course people like you and I can find the courage. Of course we can. And so what I'm learning when I look around, the world, and I see people wearing masks and I see them complying with the rules. Maybe they believe in it, maybe they don't, maybe they're just complying because they don't want the confrontation. I have a whole mixture of emotions because there's a part of me frustrated thinking, I'm walking through this store just fine with no mask. Why can't you do it? So that's what I'm thinking. Other times I'm thinking, well, you know what? The truth is, we, from what I can gather right now, we, the people of this mindset that understand that there's an agenda at work here about power and control, and that this is not about your health, we appear thus far to be the minority. So I'm not 100% certain of that. Maybe we're secretly the majority and we just haven't figured that out yet. But what I'm saying is a minority can't necessarily win a war. I mean, it's a lot harder. So what I feel like we have to do is we have to strategically work at winning hearts and minds of the people that appear to be not yet like-minded. And we have to just keep dedicated to plugging away and working at enlightening them and winning them to our mindset. And we need to work at increasing our numbers. And here's the thing that I think we have going on is our numbers are way bigger than the attendance at rallies. The attendance at rallies is just a portion of the people who support us. Even the people who watch us online and support us online, that's just a portion of our real supporters. There are supporters out there who do support us, but they went and got vaccinated and they wear their mask and they obey the rules. They know it's wrong. They're doing it anyway. And it's not always that they haven't found their courage yet to stand up and stop complying. Part of it is there's people being strategic and they are obeying the rules and secretly supporting us. So I just have a knowing about that, and I'm just so pleased. And so I have a trust in the future that as we keep pushing back, okay, even if our numbers at rallies are low this winter, and of course they will be, it's cold. Mm-hmm. So that's not a symptom of our real support. And so I just want you to be encouraged by that no matter what the turnout on December 11th, I want you to know you're doing the right thing. You are doing the right thing, Chelle.
Thank you. I truly believe that. I think it's going to take love and compassion to win this war. And it's really hard talking to people because of mass formation. People are actually hypnotized by the propaganda. So, screaming in their face or, sharing them videos that they're not going to even look at isn't going to make the difference. It's being kind, being compassionate, talking to them and not letting up on that. Because if you continuously talk to people without judgment and acceptance, but educate them in a way that they will listen, then you have a better chance at changing their minds. And I did want to actually say also, so when I spoke to the principal at my daughter's school, I was on the phone and my daughter was sitting in the same room. And when I got off the phone, she said, "Thanks for fighting for me." And I said, "If I don't, who will?" It's our job as the grown-ups to stand up for these kids and fight because they need us to. And if we don't, who will?
That is absolutely right. And I'm so glad you found the courage for that today. We had a vaccine clinic peaceful protest today in Edmonton. And there were a number of protesters there organized with signage and handouts, and I was there videotaping. And it was interesting to watch. Cars would park in the parking lot and masked parents would get out with masked kids and they would walk towards the vaccine clinic. And the protesters, they were attempting to use approach like what you're talking about, like just love, basically. Like it wasn't about, no, don't go in the clinic. That's not what it was. It was, hey, we have some information for you to think about before you vaccinate your child. And they didn't want to take it, right? They said no.
Because that's still actually confrontational to them.
That seems too confrontational. What do you think we should be doing?
I think we should be just friendly with people, you know, like when you're in the store and you're not wearing a mask, smile at people, you know, say hello, just go on as if things are actually normal and treat people with kindness and respect. Because right now we get a lot of people looking at us like we're evil or we're, you know, we're the devil, we're crazy, you know, we don't have any compassion and we hate people and they think we're going to riot. And the reality is that we're not like that at all. We just want to be free and we want choice and we don't want the kids hurt. If adults want to go and do any kind of medical procedure, that's their choice. But for the government, for health agencies, for educational institutions and municipalities to enforce these things and coerce people is extortion, really. And we can't even use our facilities within the city that our tax dollars pay for. You know, when there was segregation, way back, there was actually facilities that the segregated could use, and the unvaccinated don't even have that. So it's, and you know, we don't want that. We want to share with everybody, but at least let us use our facilities that we pay for our kids. They can't go swimming if they're not vaccinated. Our tax dollars pay for that, you know. And our kids need to be healthy and have exercise. It's one of the fundamental things for their growth. Yeah. So yeah, I just think it's so important that if we just talk to people, be friendly, let them know we're not, you know, gonna hurt them, that we don't want any ill will towards them. I mean, I've heard more vaccinated people say ill will things towards the unvaccinated than vice versa. So, and we can't judge people. Accept them where they're at and move from that spot. You can't start someone off in a position they're not already in.
I was a facilitator for many years, a volunteer facilitator for Alberta Health Services, ironically enough. And I created a kind of a motto for myself as I was doing these programs. And it was basically meet them where they're at and bring them forward. Because even though I might be able to go 0 to 60 in a minute and go from this mood to this mood in a minute, a lot of people can't. They might be in a, let's say, a low mood, and you can't bring them all the way to joy, but maybe you can make them feel slightly less low. So that I feel the same thing about education. So, you know, we've both been researching the truth for many, many, many months, right? And there's people who've, you know, put the blinders up and they refuse to see the truth. They've got that narrow view of what the truth may be on the mainstream media. And you can't take them from 0 to 60. You can't just take them from the mindset they're at all the way to the full truth. They're not ready to handle it. So the approach actually has to be slow. Like you said, you meet them where they're at so they know this much truth. Okay, you find out a little area you can agree, and then you bring them like one step forward rather than trying to bring them all the way at once, because it's too overwhelming and they'll just reject it, right?
It's true. And I mean, I'm not trying to condescend towards these adults, but it is like taking a child by the hand and guiding them and listening to what their needs are so that you can make sure that they're actually growing and moving forward and not getting stuck. Yeah.
Yeah, so we could agree on a lot of things. This is so super. Well, I haven't been to Lethbridge in years, but you're making me want to come to Lethbridge on December 11th.
Well, be sure to put weights in your shoes. The wind here will take you somewhere.
Yes. One time I was leaving Lethbridge, this is many, many years ago, and I was pulling a trailer and my trailer fishtailed on me on that big hill, like coming out of Lethbridge heading northbound. And anyway, that was a very stressful moment. You have strong winds. But then you get Chinooks too, don't you? What's the weather like?
Well, the Chinook is the wind. It's just warmer wind. So it's not as cold of a wind. Right now we got snow and it's supposed to snow all week. And then on Saturday, it's supposed to be windy. Just in time for the rally. But we're hoping the wind waits until the evening after the rally to start blowing.
Well, it was a little cold today. My temperature gauge read -17, but it felt colder. So I'm really thankful we got through it today. But we had some protesters; they were troopers. Next time, I got to remember to bring those little heaters for your shoes and your mittens. Yeah, we got to have those because
Yes,
if we get cold.
well, I
What's
hope
that?
I said those are important to have, and I hope everyone that comes to the rally dresses really warm because we want them to have fun and not just be cold.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, wear your mittens and your snow pants if you have to, but yeah, dress warm because there's lots of fun to be had, and
Well,
we don't want people missing it just because of the snow and wind.
do you? There's malls in Lethbridge, though, right? Like indoor shopping malls.
There is a mall, yes.
Okay, so
Yeah.
this is what we learned yesterday at West Edmonton Mall. Okay, just so
Mhm.
you're aware in case you ever want to do an indoor shopping mall protest. We
Yeah.
learned if the group is too big,
Mhm.
the security gets concerned. We also learned that if the group stands in one spot for a while and, in a sense, blocks mall traffic, security gets concerned and security starts coming over and, being attempting to be intimidating. So basically, what we learned, we also learned this, that if you're in too small of a group, so one person or two people, that security will also attempt to intimidate and potentially issue some sort of paperwork. So they weren't issuing tickets per se, they were issuing, in a sense, an injunction yesterday. So anyway, so here's my suggestion to anybody considering a protest in a mall based on what I learned yesterday. I recommend a group of 12. That I think is a great number because it's not too big, it's not too small, and you walk through the mall as a group without masks, and keep the smiles on your faces and smile, like you said, smile
Mhm.
at all the people going by. Give the people their space, because some of the people, they're not comfortable with you getting in their space, so you want to give them their space if you can. But I'm actually finding, in general, even the mask wearers at a mall
Mhm.
um are okay being in a stranger's space. Like I wasn't wearing a mask, someone else is wearing a mask, and I might come close to them, and it's not like they jumped away or said get away from me. Like they didn't do that. So anyway, so it was interesting things that we learned. There were so many positive aspects to the experience. Number one was we were indoors. We were outside at a cold protest, although I've done that many times. Number two was there were some positive interactions. So here we are, we're this group walking through the mall, no masks. There's other people walking through the mall who see us, a lot, and most of them are masked. And some of them saw us walking with no masks and no issues, and they took off their masks. So to
Yeah.
me, that's leading by example, right? And
Yeah.
we're growing our team, we're growing our support, and that's that's incredibly powerful. So what do you think of that, Chelle?
Well, I think there's some, yeah, good suggestions there. We actually tried going to the mall, and the mall found out we were going and called and said that we were coming and they didn't want us there. So, as the organizer of the event, because the mall had said I wasn't permitted there with my group, I actually was told by the police if I had shown up, I would be arrested and charged, and I would also get a fine. So, I wasn't prepared to get arrested. I'm a single parent, and it wasn't an event worth getting arrested for. That I feel would have made it more about me than what we're doing. I am better to serve our community, not getting arrested and fighting the fight where I feel comfortable for my kids too. So with the mall thing, I haven't heard too many people have an issue with customers with their masks, but the security is not a fan. And I haven't actually worn a mask this whole time. I refused to wear one until I finally got an exemption. And honestly, I had no issues since the beginning. The only issues I ever had were I had two customers in a Walmart that bothered me, and one person in another store. But people actually really don't harass you so often. And I think it's actually just the fear mongering where people feel like, well, I have to wear it because people will harass me. They really won't. Like, test it out. Just decide, okay, you know what? On Monday, I'm not wearing a mask. Maskless Mondays. Come on, let's start a trend. Maskless Mondays. Let's at least start with one day a week, right? And yeah, and just see, people really don't care that you don't wear a mask as long as you're not getting too close to them, and you just mind your business and do your shopping and whatever you need to do. Yeah.
Ah, there we go. We have another guest right now. How's it going?
Good, good. Sorry, just putting the kids to bed there. Glasses, all the fun here. Yeah.
Okay, good. I'm glad you're back, Ashley. So Chelle's been talking to us about some of her projects out at Lethbridge. I'm not sure how much you heard or missed, and I was wondering if you had any questions for her or any suggestions for her, anything you wanted to share.
There actually, I was upstairs for a fair bit of it there. Unfortunately, this is like the busy hour in my life with the kids and all that. So unfortunately, but I'm going to, there's going to be a time that hopefully I can chat with you a little bit later, possibly tomorrow, about the things that are going on here now. So yeah, I'll be watching this again a little bit later tonight.
Okay, good. And yeah, I'm just happy to see that there's other people around the province taking on these activities. And I mean, throughout the year, I was hearing about all kinds of interesting rallies and freedom events. There's stuff going on in Red Deer and Sundre, and obviously Calgary and Edmonton, Grand Prairie. There's all kinds of things going on. The biggest events, though, I've been reading about online, are Alberta Unity Project. Have either of you heard about Alberta Unity Project yet?
Mm-hmm. Yes, actually, we've got them booked to come to Lethbridge on January 8th. But I can't say anything.
That's all you can say?
Yeah.
Well, I'm happy to hear that. I'm hoping to get the group in or near Edmonton sometime in the near future. If you stole them from January 8th, well, my heart was set on that date, but okay, I'll let it go. And you can have them.
I can probably get you a contact.
Oh, that would be wonderful. Yes. And I can run sound for them if needed. I don't know if they run around the province with their own sound system or if they need a sound system, but I've got one. So we just got to figure out a venue and whatnot. So I'm intrigued by what they're doing. I don't have a full understanding of it yet. I'm really eager to learn. So that's a freedom group that I'm fascinated with. In Edmonton, I've been working with a freedom group called Alberta for Liberty on some events. And when Chris Sky is in Edmonton, we support him. You support Chris Sky when he's down in Lethbridge. He's also been involved in Calgary, etc. And then Calgary has different freedom events. I think this past week there was one in Calgary on Friday night and Saturday. And the Friday night one was like all magical with lights. And then the Saturday rallies in Calgary, like I think sometimes they're getting 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 people. That's just amazing to me. So that is super. So there's a lot of support for the freedom movement in Alberta, wouldn't you say?
Oh yeah, we're definitely hoping to, and we're expecting a lot of people to show up for sure at the Alberta Unity Rally and at our rally. We're getting a lot more people involved in the area, which is a pleasant surprise.
Well, that is just super. So then, so can you give us the details again, Chelle, about December 11th? All the stuff you have planned, and I have a hunch Ashley's going to take notes.
Okay, so it is December 11th at 3 p.m. in the Galt Gardens in Lethbridge. We are going to have some great speakers come and talk to the adults, and there will be tables with resources from different organizations and businesses in the community and the province that people can take home with them, pamphlets, contacts, that sort of thing. And we are also collecting for the food bank. We are going to have Santa cookies and cocoa and music and all the fun stuff. And maybe I'll even wear elf ears or something. What else is there? And also there is going to be a statement that I'm planning to read that I'm going to be receiving from one of the police groups, freedom support groups. They're unable to make it to our rally, but they're sending something for me to read. So I'm really excited to receive that and to share their message and show that we have support from them as well.
Did you say that was Police on Guard for Thee?
Yes.
Okay, so you've partnered with Police on Guard for Thee, you've partnered with Action for Canada, any other groups as well?
Children's Defense Canada.
Yes, we've at many of the rallies in Edmonton, we've heard from Sherry Strong, and she has spoken on behalf of Children's Health Defense Canada. She's a wonderful presenter. If you wanted Sherry Strong to come to Lethbridge, I'll find her number.
Thank you.
And she's actually a guest on this show on Wednesday night as well. So I just started doing podcasting, by the way. This is my 4th show of my life. What do you think so far?
I think you're doing pretty good. I've been tempted to put out some little videos on my own group page. I've been so busy with the rally, I haven't been able to do it yet, but I do plan to do that. Congratulations on your production. You're doing really good.
Oh, good. How about you? What do you think, Ashley?
Oh, actually, yeah, finding out this is only your 4th one, that surprises me, because this was very smooth, like very well run. So yeah, okay. You're doing wonderful, wonderful.
But I've got a great tech guy behind the scenes, which helps. And so we've actually already planned some fantastic shows for this week, just so that you're aware. Tuesday night, I'm scheduled to interview Chris Sky at 7 p.m. And so that's optimistic that he'll be available. As you may be aware, he's not free right now. He's not free, but there's lots of us rooting for his freedom. And so I'm optimistic he'll be available Tuesday night for interview. Wednesday night, I'm interviewing Sherry Strong. I'm interviewing Odessa Orlowitz, and I'm interviewing Selena Paley, who is one of the Edmonton Freedom Central contributors. And we're going to hear a little bit about one of her projects here right away. And then Thursday night, it's Tanya Goff from Action for Canada, and we're going to talk about notice of liability. So I just want to show you a little something here that Selena Paley's been working on. Well, I'll just let the video speak for itself. It's called Her Name Was Jolene. And then we'll discuss it afterwards. Okay, we'll have that video up and running momentarily. And I'm hoping you guys will, I'm hoping you won't cry, and you'll have your composure, and you'll be able to discuss it afterwards.
She took this shot because she wanted to plan a trip for her 40th birthday in February. That's the only reason she took it. And she booked her appointment for the shot 8 times and canceled 8 times and finally got it on the 9th time. She woke up Saturday morning, it was like a freight train hit her. She was puking profusely, lost control of her bowels. It just intensified. So Sunday morning she woke up, her and her boyfriend woke up, they were getting ready for her day. She was fumbling all over her bed, the bedroom. She was so delirious and disoriented, kind of like signs of a stroke. But when Jolene was brought into the hospital, she was still conscious. And there was blood pooling behind her eyes, and what appeared to be unexplained bruising all over her body, as it caused her heart stopped twice, and then her organs began to fail, and she passed away around 8:30 p.m. on Sunday, October 17th. I'm here and she's not, and she left 4 beautiful children behind.
Our children are my godchildren. It is my right that I have to stick up and fight for them.
So if you're not being told adverse reactions or what could possibly happen to your body, even up into death, then you're not being informed. So a lot of people are taking this blindly and not realizing she's not a statistic. She was someone's mother, someone's daughter, someone's cousin, best friend. Her name was Jolene. I traveled over 6 hours to be here. Not because I wanted to shame anybody who wanted to take this shot, but to see the other side of the coin. All I want is us Canadians, as fellow human beings, to come together and once and for all be unified, right? Because it's disgusting to see how divided we become.
If God out of the equation, we lost everything.
So that video was created by Selena. She's one of the contributors here at Edmonton Freedom Central. And I was helping organize that rally on November 6th in Edmonton. And Chris Skye was featured at that rally. And Stephen Swain basically just showed up. I didn't talk to him in advance or anything. And usually when I plan a rally, I try to plan all the speakers in advance and in a sense vet them, right? I didn't have a lot of time to figure out, should we let Stephen speak? Should we not? I learned very little about him. I learned he had a story to tell. And yeah, it was a kind of a split-second judgment call to say, yes, let's get him up to speak and tell the story. And he had Jolene's picture, and he had some support come up with him when he spoke at that rally. And then Selena interviewed him after and created that video. So ladies, I want to praise you. I want to praise you for the important work you're doing, because the truth has to get out. And what we're doing with events and pushback in different forums, this is important. We need to inform the people. We need to inform town councillors about the truth, about the risks of the vaccine. And so first, I just want to praise you for the work you're doing, because when you hear a story like that, you realize, well, the public's not getting these stories. Mainstream media is not airing these stories. We have to do the work to get that out there. So we'll start with Chelle. Chelle, after watching that video, what are some of the emotions and thoughts that you're having?
Well, I actually heard him speak at the rally in Calgary, and yeah, it was hard not to cry then too. But it's heartbreaking. It is really heartbreaking. And as much as, like, yeah, she was so hesitant. She canceled so many times. She knew she shouldn't, in her heart and her soul, it seemed. And it's just devastating that she actually went through and got it. And I'm so sad that she's gone for her kids. And in this fight for the children, it's also fighting for their parents. Like, like these kids don't have a mom now. So standing up for these kids is standing up for their right to have parents who don't need to be injected either. It all comes full circle to, children and their families are better together. We don't want any of them to die. So we need to fight. And I know there's other single moms who feel they have to go and get these, and even with dads too. But I mean, I'm not going to say it's harder if a child loses one or two parents, or has only one or two. But if it's a single mom, like I say that because I'm a single mom, I think that's why I go there. Those kids are left with nobody. And it's just not right. It just breaks up their family. It destroys their lives. And these parents may feel like they need to protect their kids, to do the right thing, to be the example, or because that's what they think is right, or for whatever reason. And we need to make sure that young parents know, especially young parents, need to know the effects of these, so how it can affect them and how that can affect their children in the future as well. And my heart just breaks for her children. Thanks.
Thank you for sharing those thoughts. Videos like this are something I'm considering putting up on my website, allfiredupforfreedom.com. I'm trying to get the website developed with tools people can use to help push back, perhaps even promote projects like what you're doing in Lethbridge, what you're doing in Whitecourt, if that's what you would want, and make the website in a sense more of a hub of information where people can go. I am very concerned about Facebook. Facebook in general is one of the tools I use to communicate with people, and it's a very useful tool. However, do you remember that day they just spontaneously shut down Facebook? You guys remember that? And it was gone, right? And there goes that tool and that network of contacts. It's gone. And so the what I'm thinking, like, here's the Edmonton Freedom Central Facebook page, as you can see here. So this is a great tool for us thus far, where we're networking, we're connecting with people, we're sharing videos. Oh, that's my video from yesterday when they issued me an injunction for trespass at West Edmonton Mall. Can you pause that video, please? just pause it for a sec here. Before we get to that, I would actually like to hear from Ashley, because we were chatting about the other video, and Ashley, I didn't actually get a chance yet to hear your reaction. So if you don't mind sharing.
Yeah, for sure. Truly, it's so hard to hear those stories and to hear what's happening, because I guess in our lives, if we go about things and we don't actually dig into what's actually happening, we're not going to know any of those situations that are happening. We're not going to know any of these deaths and take the time to recognize what is actually happening out there. So it's so hard for so many reasons, because the people that we're losing, but then also their stories, their lives, and not having it be like broadcast out to the world on our mainstream media, where we're so many people that we're missing basically in our movement here are watching, to not actually have them recognize that these are the people that we're losing here. So that it hurts so much, of course. And then just to think of what's going on with her life and her family and her children, like how can we sit by and let this happen and have this happen again to anybody else? Like that's enough to say, you know what, we can't do this any longer. We can't sit around going on about what we know is wrong. We actually have to stand up and we have to figure our way out and trudge through it and make sure that we know we're actually making a difference here. Because if not, then who's to say that this situation is going to happen to somebody else? It's so hard when you feel like you're an isolated island and all you can do is try to hang on, but then for some reason you feel like you can't hang on any longer and you're going to break down and actually get the shot, you know? So it's just to have these communities out there, to know there are other people out there. And I know it's hard. There's lots of pressure in so many different ways, especially when you have young children and there's all these events and things that are going on where you think, you know what, whatever, you know what, I'm going to go against what I truly believe and know that's right, just because I'm going to do it for my kids. I'm going to do it for my community. I'm going to do it for whatever reason, what you know is not true and is not what is you. So just to have these connections with these other people, to know that you're not the only one there, you're not standing alone. So I'm just so thankful to have these groups and know you're supported.
Yeah, we need each other and we're stronger together. And I mean, even though, you know, I'm in Edmonton and, you know, you're in Lethbridge and you're in Whitecourt, I feel a connection because we're on the same page here. We're in the same war and we might be miles apart, but there's a togetherness. And it's my hope, though, that people in each of these communities are finding their fellow like-minded people right in their community. Because if push comes to shove, I can't do much for you from Edmonton, but your fellow freedom fighters in your area might be able to help you in certain circumstances. So it's so incredibly important right now for people to be building those networks. So whether that's just exchanging phone numbers or internet addresses, but better yet, why not get together and get to know one another and nurture the relationship? And you might even, if you get creative, you might even be able to sit in a restaurant and have tea. It just might have to be a certain restaurant, which we won't announce here.
I love to get creative. Yep.
Yeah, I managed to find one today in Edmonton where I sat down and had a coffee and I didn't have to show any health paperwork in order to do so. So I feel pretty good about that. And yeah, so we just get creative and go underground when we have to.
Yep. Perfect.
Yeah, so we support networks. So just so you know, ladies, we have another guest coming. We're going to hear from James in a bit. And there's a special project called Canada Unity. And they actually have in Ottawa, I don't know if it's 75 vehicles, RVs, trucks, whatever. We'll find out from James in a bit here. And they're working at occupying grounds in Ottawa. So we're going to be hearing from James in a bit. So just to give you a preview of what James is going to talk about, it's a convoy for freedom, Operation Bear Hug, Canada-Unity.com. So you might want to check that out, Operation Bear Hug. And it's been going on, started today, December 5th. It's going all the way to December 10th. And like they're doing all kinds of things here. And they've got speakers booked and entertainment and I guess tents with heaters. And I think there's RVs and just all sorts of things going on. There's the staging area. And so that's going on until the 10th at Confederation Park, City Hall, Ottawa. So there's the event schedule there. So much going on. And so one of the reasons I wanted to share this with you is I guess I just wanted to broaden your horizons about the possibilities. And you might think, oh, it's just Little Lethbridge, or oh, it's just Little Whitecourt. Well, Lethbridge just hosted Chris Sky and had a great event. Chris Sky was also in Grand Prairie and had a great event, right? In smaller communities, big things can happen as well. And so when you, and look at the partners, see, this is my favorite part right here. Look at this, look at their partners. They're working with Vaccine Choice Canada. They're working with Druthers. They're working with Take Action Canada. Like, look at the partners here who have come together for this Canada Unity project. Like, that just floors me. We got Hugs Over Mass and other organizations. And that's what excites me. Like, I'm with All Fired Up for Freedom, but I partner with Edmonton Freedom Central and Alberta for Liberty. I'll partner with whatever group. I've helped at a rally in Calgary. I've helped at a rally in Red Deer. Like, I'll go anywhere and partner with any group that, you know, has a willingness to want to partner and work in unity. And so when you look at this Canada Unity website and you see all these partners that have come together to create and have this event, like, doesn't that just floor you? What do you think of that?
I think that's really great, actually. When I first got into this, my driving goal was to connect, and that's why I named my Telegram and Facebook group Freedom Hub, because I wanted it to be a place where people can come together from across the whole country, and I want to reach out and connect to groups, freedom groups across the country, so that we can plan to do something where we all stand up at the same time and come together. That's like my little dream. So yeah, it's pretty exciting.
I love that. I love that. And how about you, Ashley? Are you seeing, in a sense, people coming together in Whitecourt as well?
Yes, oh, for sure, for sure. And it's neat because I guess how things have been up until this point here, it seems like there's little actually like hubs in Whitecourt, and then you kind of break through to another one and you're like, oh my gosh, okay, like, and you guys feel the same way too. They're like, yeah, you got to meet these people. And then you're like, no way. And then you have like other little groups going on, and it's wonderful. It's our own little societies that are happening here. And then also to have the breakthroughs to the other communities, like say like here, so Lethbridge, Edmonton. I've had recent breakthroughs to Drayton Valley, to different communities around here that are seeing wonderful successes, and just to learn from them, it makes you feel good. It makes you like say, you know what we're doing is great, and there's other ones out there like us. It's wonderful.
Yes, I being in this for as long as I have, I'll get people saying to me, we need to get everybody together in one place, all Albertans together in one place. And I'm thinking to myself, Alberta's a big place. Like, it's kind of hard to get people from Lethbridge to Edmonton, or Fort McMurray to Edmonton. That's a hard thing to do. And so I'm as much as it would be wonderful to have everybody in one place, just the logistics of that kind of floor me. Where would we put them all, right? Especially in the winter. And so I think it's super what's going on right now, that there's all these different freedom groups doing their thing. Like, I don't know if you know, but south of Edmonton, there is a smaller city called Leduc. And from what I hear, every Tuesday, there's a protest in Leduc where a group of really enthusiastic people stand with signs at an intersection. And they do it every Tuesday. And I think it runs 12 to 1 or something. And I haven't personally been there yet, but I've been meaning to visit this group. But I get to see the videos online. And it just makes me so excited, because when you're doing a project in the freedom movement, it doesn't always mean it has to be a rally with a bunch of speeches. It doesn't mean that. Even one person standing on the corner with a sign is making a statement, and it's making a difference, even one. And then when you have a group, all it does is make it more fun. So I think more of that needs to happen, just standing on street corners with signs. And instead of standing like as one clump of people, they all got to be a little more spread out. Because if you spread out, then the cars going by have a chance to read every sign. Whereas if you're all clumped together, they're going to maybe read 1 or 2 signs out of the whole bunch. So it's better to spread out. Today, I interviewed a fellow who stood on a busy street corner in his municipality for at least an hour a day for 40 days straight. And he had his signage professionally made so it was clear to the drive-by traffic, and he just stood there with his signs. That's all he did. And people would honk, people would give him finger gestures. Sometimes people would stop and engage with him one-on-one, and sometimes it's people that were supportive of him. Sometimes it's people that weren't supportive of him, which is fine too, because those conversations are important to have. And when I met this fellow today, I was just floored, because here I am, doing the stuff I do, but I have to admit, I've kind of become, in a sense, dependent on the power of people. Like I always want a group, right? And I haven't yet completely found that courage to stand alone. So when this fellow told me this story about standing alone, and how even the law enforcement came to him and they were trying to intimidate him and get him to quit, and they were making accusations at him, and he said, give me the file number on that accusation. Who accused me of doing that? I'm going to sue that person for slander. So he pushed back against the authorities, and they went away and they left him alone. And this is all we need, guys. We just need more people willing to stand up and when necessary, stand alone. And like, I know that a lot of people are scared, a lot of people are concerned, a lot of people don't feel ready. They're thinking about what they got to lose, right? But maybe you stand on a street corner and you wear a disguise. Maybe nobody knows it's you. Maybe you're wearing the mask from Vita Vendetta. Although, yeah, we don't want to scare anybody. It's kind of a scary mask. But like, do you see what I'm trying to say? And I think another tool we got to use, and you ladies got to tell me if you've used this tool yet. I think this is a super tool. This is a way to disarm our opponents. Humor. Can you give an example where you've witnessed humor used in the freedom movement as a tool to help get the point across? Let's hear from Chelle first.
Well, humor. Well, first I want to mention that actually we do have a group that meets every Saturday and has for the last 20 months on McGrath Drive here in Lethbridge. So there's a group every Saturday at 2:00, and every Saturday there's new people that come. And when the people drive by and flip us off, I just smile, blow them a kiss, or, it's, I don't get angry or upset by it. They're expressing themselves because they're frustrated with their choices they're making. So now let's see, humor. Well, I don't know. I kind of have a little bit of dark humor like my daughter. I wanted to send the kid when they had to wear masks to school before I got them excused. I wanted to send them to school with masks that said like Silence of the Lambs across their mouth. But yeah, my son wasn't too happy about that idea though. I don't know what other kind of humor. I mean, like, well, okay, I don't know. I have humor all the time in my life, but some of you might not find it humorous. I think I'm funnier in my head.
I can understand that. I'm trying to think of I guess a humor example right now, and then I'm the worst to be put on the spot there. But I've seen some really cute like mask designs there, like ones that say like Petri dish, because really, what we're dealing with when we're wearing masks. But mostly, like, I guess when dealing with people who are opposing our views, I just the kindness views are the best there. And like, you know what, I'm just out here, I just want to see your smiles, and I just, what's wrong with giving someone a hug or giving someone a big smile and just showing that. I don't know, just being a human, really, a kind human out there. So I'm really liking that. But yeah, to think of a humor example, I'd need to get my husband down here. He has such a better take on things than I do with that, and a better memory of funny things. But no.
Yeah. Well, in Edmonton and St. Albert, we have a neat campaign going. I don't know who's doing it. Is not me. I'm not part of this. But these stickers are showing up, and they say White Rose across the bottom. And there's a White Rose website where you can get these stickers, and these stickers are showing up, and it's about non-compliance, but some of them are really witty, really funny imaging. And the whole concept is to make people think, like, please rethink your choices, rethink what the media is trying to tell you. And so I enjoy that campaign, the sticker campaign. I like seeing them around town, and I have no idea who put them there.
I'm gonna look into that. I'm excited for that.
Right?
We got to bring that here.
Oh yeah. I think it's whiterose.com. I'm not 100% sure, but if I find the link, I'll share it with you later. And you just buy sticker paper and you download these images, you cut them up, and then you distribute them to people, and maybe they'll put them on their bumper or their back window or in their scrapbook or somewhere else.
Yeah.
So,
I love that.
yeah, and then maybe it may also be a fundraiser too, because then they might offer donations to you for the tool you're giving them, and to help you cover your printing costs, etc. So yeah, just different things to think about. So question now about fundraising. The stuff we're doing costs money. That's the reality of it. A few months ago, I had a $600 bill for my data plan because I was going to rallies and I was Facebook Living all these rallies. So like we're talking hours and hours and hours and hours every month. And so anyway, big bill. Then I got a better data plan, obviously. And so the stuff we do costs money. So have you thought about fundraising initiatives to help cover some of these costs? Like another thing for me, obviously, is at rallies, I run a generator to run my sound system. There's the fuel consumption, right? So have you thought about that? Like in my case too, I had a tripod stand broken. I had a camera broken. And I had a speaker broken. So you get it, right? There's expenses. So what do you do to fundraise?
Sorry. Yeah, first, if you want.
Personally, for me, because I'm so early in my journey here, I haven't had a ton of expenses that way. So I guess really for me, it hasn't really been something that came up yet, but I could definitely see that as things move along. And I would like to get more information from you ladies just to see what you guys have been doing, because I can see that in time being something.
Yeah, I highly recommend you start fundraising, because at some point you are going to have expenses, possibly legal expenses.
I can understand that.
So start fundraising in some way. I can let you know about some of the stuff I've done, but first let's hear from Chelle.
Well, as far as fundraising goes, haven't done a lot of that. Most of the stuff that we've done so far has been donated stuff, or that we've been able to borrow, get free, aside from like paying for power and stuff at the events. And let's see, well, for this coming up rally, we're actually we're seeking donations from our community, from businesses and organizations that may be willing to donate cookies and cocoa and all the little things for the kids. We've been pretty lucky with getting our sound systems and everything else at no cost to us. And so that's been really good up to this point. Aside from lights, we've had to rent lights, especially with it getting darker earlier. We have to rent lights. We are going to be having a donation bucket on the cocoa and cookie tables at the rally. So we will be taking donations to cover our costs there. We haven't done any other fundraising yet than that. Yeah. Just whatever our committees put in personally is donations, actually.
Okay, well, I think that's super. Based on my experience, donations were pretty good early on. I donated a lot of my own money because I was incredibly passionate about the movement. And at that time, I could still buy newspaper ads. So I was spending between $300 and $400 per newspaper ad in my local papers, and quarter-page color ad to promote freedom events. So at that time, I could purchase ads, and then there came a time I couldn't purchase ads. The censorship had started, and there are certain newspapers, they would not sell me ads. All I'm doing is saying, you know, freedom rally, such and such day, such and such place, and they wouldn't let me buy an ad. Anyway, so back in the day when I first started, the funding was good. So I guess what I'm trying to say is, if you've got momentum, make use of your momentum. Like if you're sensing right now, you have a lot of support at whatever level you're at, make use of that, do some fundraising. But the other thing to do with the fundraising is be transparent. It's very important that you have the appearances of being just open and honest. And there's people that are concerned, right? They want to know, they want reassurance that they're donating money and it's going to the right stuff, right? And so if you could do a proper tracking of that, and then a presentation later, hey, this is what we spent money on, right? And so it's like you have a committee or whatever, and you're accountable to the committee. It's just a really good idea. So figure out ways to fundraise. So a bucket on a table is a great idea. And so words, by the way, are important at these events. So what I would say at an event is, if you donate $10 or more, you get a free this. Okay. And so I've given them, in a sense, the minimum donation. I'm giving them something for their money, but sometimes it's on their heart to give more, and they'll give me $20 for the item. And so I actually use the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms at a lot of events, but the interest in that has kind of tapered off. But back at those events, people were still very interested because they wanted to protect the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms. But now it just feels like, I mean, authorities are just stomping all over it. I was at the RCMP office this past week. I have to tell you this story. I went in to get a criminal record check done because I don't have a criminal record, and it was so I could volunteer with a special organization. Oh, we have a new guest. And I was reading the RCMP wall where it says to serve and protect, and it's to serve and protect the Canadian Charter, uphold the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms. It was right there on the wall of the office. And I'm thinking to myself, one of your officers gave me 2 tickets back in February. That was not upholding the Canadian Charter. Anyways, we have another guest here. So is it James? Is that you, James? James, you might be on mute. Let's try it out here. We got James. James is in Ottawa right now. And I think he might be occupying Confederation Park or something. What a way to protest. James, we want to hear from you when you're ready. Oh, we lost him, but he might be back. So I'm a little excited to hear about that Canada Unity Project, aren't you?
Oh, yes.
There is a part of me that wishes I could be there, except I have a hunch that they're cold. So I'm a little glad to be here in this nice warm place. But I'm sure he'll give us an update about that in a few moments. He'll be back with us shortly. Now, I feel like there was a question I missed, though. We were talking about fundraising. What did I feel like I missed? Did we miss something there? Other fundraising. Oh, I know what it was. I was going to tell you to set up a e-transfer, because there's a lot of people, they're not going to bring cash to the rally, and you need a way, they have it on their heart to give. So you need an e-transfer option. So create something, maybe share it with someone so that there's that accountability factor, and create an account with an e-transfer so they can e-transfer you. And because they want to support the good work you're doing. And if people have it on their heart to give, encourage them to give, because even if you don't need that money now, there's a really good chance you're going to need it later. So I encourage you. And don't let the people who are critical of fundraising dissuade you, because there's some people that'll be like, why are you fundraising? And like, this stuff costs money. Like right now I'm using my data plan on my phone for this. And as far as I know, I haven't gone over my minutes yet, my time, but yeah, every month I pay, right? So please don't feel guilty about fundraising, and please start early. Those are my suggestions to you. So any questions about fundraising?
I don't really have any off the top of my head. You ever fundraise to big businesses?
What's that? About big businesses?
Do you fundraise to big businesses? Like asking them for donations?
Like what'll happen occasionally is someone from a business will approach me and they'll offer money, and it's got to be handled very carefully, because in some cases they want to be recognized, which in that case you want to recognize them if that's what they want. But in other cases, they want to be anonymous, and it's very, very important to respect their desire for anonymity. So, just so that you're aware of that. So it looks like we're trying again here with James. James, who do you have with you?
Welcome to Stu Donaldson.
Stu.
He's the famous Stu here from Ottawa that spent 70 days sleeping on the Hill.
70 days sleeping on the Hill, on Parliament Hill?
Protesting on Parliament Hill,
sleeping
all day, every day.
His story is amazing.
Well, I thought I was a pro-protester, and here you go showing me out. Let's hear all about it.
Stu is like the glue in Ottawa. He's really been a key player, uniting a lot of the groups together under the banner of unity. He's also been advantageous at putting a church on the hill with a permit that is unprecedented, never happened before. But this man here, humble,
Trying anyways.
he put a permit every Sunday for anybody to come to the Parliament and pray unity together, and because they've taken our churches away. So Stu helped put a church on the Parliament Hill for all Canadians. So it's plus he does an amazing. He started a trend here. He can explain it a little bit more, but I'm just so humbled, very humbled to have Stu as my. He's always been my right hand man. He's just always been working in the background, doing a lot of uniting groups and uniting people, and we're very blessed to have Stu on our team here with us. So anyways, I could talk all night. I really can, so I got to shut up here. Let you ask some questions.
Well, okay, so
we've officially started Bear Hug. Okay, officially, here we are, ground zero in Ottawa. We've been on a journey from Calgary. We left October 1st. Stu jumped on with us very, very shortly after, and it's been convoy from community to community to community, up and down all over the map. And here we are, officially, Operation Bear Hug Ottawa starts now. And we are here live with a special treat. Stu's going to explain a little bit more. You can go and bring up Bear Hug. We are right there. Right there. That is ground zero. And there is a lot of people. It is snowing like crazy. We have people sleeping in their cars, their trucks. We'll get some footage up. Hotels, lots in hotels. We've got, we're there. We're there right now. Convoys have started to come in. There was 3 convoy routes that came in today, and more will start coming in every day. It'll anticipate to get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger right up until the 10th, where International Human Rights Day commences. And we've got an amazing lineup of guest speakers that are going to be here on Friday. This is the time that Canada stands up and we've got people outside saying freedom. Well, this is you want your freedoms, come to Ottawa, because this is the source, this is the root of our problems. And when we all come together in unity and we start standing up in unity, that's how we're going to win this. It really is. This is where it starts.
This makes me so happy, James and Stu. I'm just so happy to hear that you guys are doing this. This is wonderful. How do you feel right now?
We, humble, we are doing this.
Yeah, we can't do it without all the groups coming and putting in what they've been putting in. I mean, Action for Canada has notice of liabilities being signed right now that are going to go to health officials across Canada. And then we're going to also get all the health officials here in Ottawa.
Scroll down a little bit there for me, Benita.
Yeah.
Just keep scrolling down, and start hovering around there. And you can start,
we're trying to get the groups together.
You can tell that we've been really, truly working hard behind the scenes to get all of these brand name groups working together in unity, and we're all coming to Ottawa together.
One of the biggest messages we want to get across is it doesn't matter if we bring an MOU or an NOL or whatever. What is ultimately going to win this for us is everybody working together. That unity. That's the victory for all of us across Canada.
Benita, we know that there's so many good-hearted groups out there across Canada, and the message of unity is starting to ignite a flame across Canada. And it's our time. We know the numbers are there. We really do. And we know the power of this MOU can potentially lead to a referendum if we've got the true vote power behind us, and that's 5.5 million equals a majority. This MOU can lead us to a majority, and we can talk more on that on another topic altogether down the road, where we can just talk about the strategy of the MOU per se and how it affects Canadians.
James,
but
James, not all of our viewers tonight watched the show with you and me and Kellyanne Wolf on Thursday night. So can you just very briefly explain what is an MOU and why should people go to Canada-unity.com and sign it?
Okay, short term. The MOU is a common term that governments, especially on international stages, just terms of negotiations and contracts and so on and so forth. A memorandum of understanding is used to get the ball rolling, so to speak, on simple terms there. And in this MOU, there contains quite a few key things. There's 3 cease and desist orders that are going to probably impact a good 70% of the Canadians to 80% of the Canadians right now. Is the one right off the bat is all the fines that have been issued to date, all since they threw COVID at us. Under the laws aspect, we can prove that there's no merit for these fines at all. So we're looking at a complete sponge of all the fines released to date. Second is all the unlawful dismissals of people's jobs across Canada, starting at the federal level. Again, I said unlawful. The laws are on our side, where people are being dismissed from their jobs, and there's so many violations of the laws across Canada that something has to be done. So again, a cease and desist order is attached to that MOU stating how that works. Third is one of the biggest threats across Canada is the vaccine passport. And this is the line in the sand for most Canadians. And we represent a very, very significant amount of the vaccinated population, especially the double vaxxed, are coming on board with the same unity message. They're not interested in this passport. We already know that one side of the fence says, no, I'm okay, my body, my choice. And then when they put lawful freedom of choice, the law is all on Canadians' side, and it is in that MOU. Okay? And you, by signing onto it, are really truly signing yourself and saying, hey, to the Senate of Canada, what do? They are the lawmakers, law amenders, and law enforcers. People know about the Nuremberg Code. Very few are understanding of the Helsinki Act. The act is the law that came from the Nuremberg Code. So inside that law is an enforcement act, a law that over 150 countries signed on to. And in simple terms, you and I, by signing this MOU, are wanting the enforcement act to be enacted upon by the Senate, who does what? Enforce the law. We have corrupt judges. We have corrupt politicians. We have corruption across all boards, especially at the top upper ranks in our corporations Canada-wide. Enough is enough. This MOU empowers you to start getting in the game with a solution, because our politicians have not provided any solutions. Period. Full stop. We know that. And the silent majority of Canadians are we're not idiots. We talk with each other. We're capable of picking up the phone. We don't rely on social media. That's the silent majority of Canada. And the numbers are way over 10 million that are awake. Okay, they're ready and they're looking.
Oh, James, that makes me so happy. James, I'm just so happy because, I have my moments when I don't realize what the numbers are. I don't really have access to the numbers of our supporters. So the fact that you're telling me that those are our numbers, I'm just blown away. This makes me so happy, and it raises my hope and my optimism to know that there's that much more. This is just Fantastic. So about the MOU, how exactly does a person go about signing it? How much information
Go on to the MOU.
do they have to share?
Go right there. You betcha. Thank you, Benita. I appreciate you so much.
And that's it right there.
Right there. So what you do is there's the reasons why you would want to, look at signing this. They're really simplified. And then from there, you can scroll down. And you can read it, you can print it off, you can download it. It is also in French, okay? So before you go to sign it, you can actually, you can study it, you can make sure that you're comfortable signing on to it, because the information that we're requesting you sign on to is exactly the same information that Elections Canada would ask in the event that we go for a referendum or for an election, okay? So simple. Also, everything we need to tell you about is that all the data is on our own private servers that cannot be. They're very secure, and there's nothing else on that server other than our private information with Canada Unity, which I am the sole owner of this myself as the president and founder. So your data is very, very safe.
And
Because
how much data is required? Just like name, address?
Just
or how much
the name, address, phone number, your postal code. Simple.
Okay. Similar to a petition then. Okay.
Exactly.
So
for a federal petition, or if you're starting a federal party or a provincial party, you get the little form. It's the same information. It's digitalized and certified. So you go through this little process, click, and there's the information. You click on that. Then what it's going to do is open up another window, and that's where you get to digitally endorse your signature in, and then hit the submit. And what you'll do is you'll see the whole document that's going to be emailed to you. Once you fill this in, go to the next page, you'll see the whole document where your name is signed into it. You hit the submit button, then you go into your email, and sometimes you might have to check your junk folder or not. And you'll find at the very bottom of your emailed PDF copy is going to be a digital signature with very valuable information that we can use for moving forward to verify our credible numbers with Elections Canada should we want to have a scrutineer on their side. And then, as you'll notice in the MOU, we have the Canadian Citizens Committee that will be elected by you folks, because it's quite a unique committee that we're forming inside this MOU. And we can deal and talk with that. Again, it's another subject matter where we could spend another half hour on that, but we'll be relaunching that in the near future here to put together a pretty predominant team of Canadians across Canada, of doctors and lawyers and scientists and environmentalists and you name it, all types of our best, finest Canadians across all spectrums.
James, I have a question from one of our viewers. Is there any need for a witness to the signature? Because I hear on some documents when someone signs like a petition, let's say, there's supposed to be a witness to the signature. Do you require anything like that?
This isn't a petition.
Okay, so no witness to the signature required?
No.
Okay. No. It's a bit concerning to me because when people sign stuff online, do we have the real proof that it was that person who signed that item online? Like I'm trying to figure out the effectiveness here.
What this does is it gives us over the next duration, the more signatures that we garner, the more pressure it becomes on the Senate, because they don't want to incriminate themselves. They may sit here for the next week, 2 weeks, month, and stew and hum and haw because Trudeau and the rest of the cabinet, they're not going to like this at all. This is a big threat to them, a huge threat, but it's also a big threat to the Senate, because if they don't sign, they're incriminating themselves. So you can imagine the conflict that's going to be going on in Parliament right now. It's a big topic.
And do you have a number of the current number of people who've signed?
I believe we're over 15,000 now. and we launched here last week. So it's starting to get its name out there. We've also been dealing with Facebook shadow banning and Facebook censoring and all sorts of nice little algorithms. We had our page just hopping on Facebook, and then all of a sudden they changed everything. We got flooded with thousands of posts from everybody. And where's our message in there? And it was just, it's become as you know, and probably heard the trickery that they use.
Yeah, it can be pretty trickery. One of the things that I've learned, you gotta have a team.
It is frustrating. So
Yeah.
you have to think outside of the narrative, which I've been on that because of my background in international risk mitigation has always been to think outside of the box and then come up with a corrective action. So
Yeah, I like that. I like that. And what's really important is building a team. And actually, let's mention this to our guests here. I've got a couple of wonderful guests here. We've got Chelle here from Lethbridge. Give us a wave, Chelle. And we have Ashley in Whitecourt, Alberta. And so we've been talking about different strategies of pushing back. Yeah, and so ladies, let's all take a page out of the Freedom Fighter handbook here. That one of the keys is teamwork. You have to build a team because you can't do it all yourself, and that's a team to help manage Facebook pages, websites, incoming mail, the fundraising, writing papers like notices of liability, et cetera, et cetera. You gotta build a team and continually grow that team, but at the same time, carefully screen your participants. Be careful about who you trust. Do you ladies have any questions right now for James as he's on this big project in Ottawa? Go ahead.
I guess, how did you know how to do this? Like, where did you learn this? I don't know. I'm new to all of this, so I don't know how you learned to do this.
I've never been asked that question. That's actually a very unique one. Thank you for
I want to learn.
Thank you, Ashley. That would require me to sit down and explain my whole life journey to where I'm at 51 years old, an Alberta farm boy, an Alberta oil patch boy that worked his way up the ranks very, very quickly. And then from there got fascinated with risk mitigation and operations and projects. And then I jumped on the international stage and floated around doing all sorts of really unique projects. And then I came back home. I've got an amazingly beautiful partner, my wife. I tell you, there's a unique story of how we met in a mudslide, and literally three months later, love it. That's it. Her parent and us, we're all together, and we haven't looked back. At our 8th anniversary here, so it's been in my heart. Unity. I can't explain it. From that aspect, I've got a lot of logical aspects from critical thinking outside of the box, and that comes from just really working with risk mitigation aspects. And my job and my fascination is to identify the root of a risk. And you look at social, economic, and environmental aspects on a risk mitigation formula table. I love that aspect of drilling right down into where the root of the problem is. But then I take it a step further and I get into the corrective action response and putting them together. And I got to this place where this passport is if you look at a risk matrix scale, it's at extreme level. And we have to come together and take that risk down to as low as reasonably practicable, as quick as reasonably practicable, without escalating ourselves into a point of no return, where we've lost the advantage. And that window, from my background, is closing. And I recognize this back in 2017. That we were on a very dangerous path. And I've been really deeply in the background, strategically trying to get to this place here called Ottawa, where the root of our problems are. Because for us to change, we have to stand up and be the change. We have to show our communities what unity really truly means and express that with our love for each other, our respect for each other. And we're in unprecedented situations across our great country where we've never had to go through this walk before. But here we are. We're representing to the world the pain and suffering that we have been going through, all of us. And we're rising above together in our communities because we're showing love to each other, respect to each other. It's not about this vaccine. It never was, never will be. It's about our lawful freedom of choice. And that represents every single Canadian on the board, whether you're for or against the vaccine. We all can come together on our lawful freedom of choice. And that's what we're doing here in Ottawa. The invite has been out for the last 3 weeks to a month, Operation Bear Hug. Come to Ottawa. Strategically, the more
We
that
got
show
jobs
up,
for you here.
we have jobs for you. We will put you to work. You show up, go back to that map and blow it up. Right on the, go scroll up there, Benita, please. Blow that up. Max her right out. Hit the.
That whole back half of the park, we own it right now.
That's Federal Park. Strategically, we put ourselves there because we can do some fun things there where the city of Ottawa, oh, it's Yoda stuff.
We're in the Forest Rangers jurisdiction right there.
And they love us. Stu has worked magic with all sorts of good people. We've also got really good partnerships with Police on Guard for Thee. I've gotten to know several of their members, and I tell you, they are angels for Canadians in the background. So much respect for that organization. We've got Action for Canada down here on boots on the ground with us.
All their NOLs.
I mean, their NOLs are working.
And they've got packages to empower businesses.
And packages to empower businesses. So we've got an educational component to being here. We've also got a strength in numbers where you need, you just keep blowing that right out until you show all of Canada. We're all in this together. All of us. Look how beautiful that beautiful country of ours is. Freedom isn't free though, folks. I come from Calgary to come here. We've got more Calgarians. We've got BC people coming. We've got Nova Scotians coming. For strategy's sake, you come to that little pin. And you show up here Monday to Friday. We've got activities for you, as you can see. You've got the MOU delivery. We've got speeches. We've got media blackouts that we're gonna completely surround CBC and Global, and have a little debate about the truth versus propaganda.
On their doorstep.
Right on their doorstep.
Right on their doorstep. We're talking about doing that in Edmonton, Alberta as well. Get in front of some of those.
It has to happen. I don't know if you have the time or not, but I mean, it depends on your numbers, but you need to get at least a couple hundred vehicles, and you own the block. And you just give them a big old bear hug. Like, this is a love tap. This isn't an aggression thing or anything. We're just giving them a bear hug.
Is that why it's called bear hug? I didn't realize that.
It's a love hug.
I get it.
It's like, we're gonna wake you up, but come here. We want to talk.
Give them a
sign
bear
this
hug. Give them
MOU.
a bear hug.
Yeah.
I like the
This is,
concept.
from what I've understood. So we were in Montreal today at Code Red. And that was a televised international event that was tagged over into France. And Bear Hug is becoming an international event. From what I could be, and I don't quote me, I just heard the rumor. I don't know if it's real or not, so I don't want to, but I heard through the grapevine that internationally it's starting to catch on to what we can do with this MOU at other countries, because the MOU is also written at an international level, and other countries can use it in their context as well. So lots is to come, and I know that when we come all together and represent all of our beautiful colors and our beautiful cultures, all of our unique religions, all our unique identities, and we've got so many blessings in regards to the historic aspect of our First Nations and our Indigenous and the Métis and the Turtle Island people. We're so blessed to have them fighting with us. And
I remember.
Sorry.
James, I have to tell you, they had teepees at the Alberta Legislature grounds in Edmonton, and basically, in a sense, they were occupying the property. So there were some Indigenous people and people from other backgrounds as well. And on one hand, it was beautiful to see these different cultures coming together. So I love that. I love the coming together of people for a common good and working together on a common thing. Now, in that case, there came a time where, in a sense, the folks were evicted from the grounds. So it didn't quite unfold as they planned. But that being said, that act of coming together in unity was very, very powerful in its symbolism. Now, let's go back to your MOU for a moment here. Do you have can you talk about a time where an MOU or a similar document was effective and that it got the results that were intended? Do you have evidence of that? Can you tell us about that?
Multiple references can be used with MOUs, and if you contact federal government and say how many times have you used an MOU, that's data that you could research that would answer that question and go from there. It's a very common term.
So MOUs have been used before. Oh, okay. You don't have a specific example yet?
There's tons of.
Oh, okay.
From I get it's been a long day here, so
that's okay.
Jump on that. I can answer that at another level when I'm not just jumping on and explain something that requires a little more in depth, so that I get it right.
Yeah. Well, okay. I appreciate you coming on the show tonight in short notice. I mean, I think I let you know an hour or two before the show. I said, "Hey, can you come on?" And you said yes.
I apologize. I love good questions. I don't want to leave something where it's unanswered. So please, if you've got a question like that, you can get a hold of info at CanadaUnity-.com. Send us an email. Info at Canada-Unity.com.
Okay, so for more information.
Yeah, and if you label your subject, that helps us out sort of categorize things so that if you say, hey, I've got an MOU question or something like that.
Okay, perfect. We'll pass that on to our participants today and all our viewers. That's our time, folks. We're going to wrap it up here. So first, I just want to say thank you to all of you for being guests tonight here at Edmonton Freedom Central. I really appreciate you. My name is Benita Pederson with Edmonton Freedom Central and also allfiredupforfreedom.com. So it's a pleasure to serve as your host. We have more shows going on this week. Tuesday at 7 p.m. I've got plans to interview Chris Sky. Wednesday at 7 p.m. I have 3 great guests, Sherry Strong, Odessa Orlowitz, and Selena Paley. And then on Thursday, I'm going to be interviewing Tanya Goff from Action for Canada. So lots of stuff going on. We're always looking for guests for the show and topics to be covered. So if you have some suggestions for that, your suggestions are welcome. Just send them to Edmonton Freedom Central. So thanks again, everybody, for being my guest tonight. I really appreciate you. And what we're going to do now as we close out the show, we have some closing messages, and you'll see in a second here, and we're working on making this a polished, perfect, terrific show. So enjoy our closing messages and have a great night.
I went to see the doctor with a touch of the flu, and I'm kinda skeptical of what he told me to do. He said that I should lock myself inside my room for a year, shut my non-essential business down and cower in fear. I said, Doc, I don't know, that seems so out of line. Give it 3, maybe 4 days, I bet I'll be fine. He said, no, you must not, you must wait for the shot. Everybody's gotta get it or society stops. I said, Doc, I don't know, is that all really true? These shots are brand new, they ain't fully approved. He said, no, you can trust us, it's the latest in science. Never mind the people dying, just give up your compliance. I said, Doc, you must have me mistaken with someone pliable. I can't trust you if none of these companies are liable, so I'm gonna stay the course like a one-way road. Take your vaccine and shove it, I'ma just say no. 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 Just say what? Just say no. To the war being waged on our minds and our bodies and our soul. They ain't looking out for you, it's a scam and it's all about control. So doing what they say won't make it go away, oh no. But they don't know the lengths I'll go. Through rain and snow, I ain't so I left the doctor's office and stepped onto the street, feeling troubled by the lies and campaign of deceit. But I'm not easily defeated, I'm not one to retreat. I tried to make a post about it, they deleted the tweet. Undeterred, I stood on the corner holding a sign. The cops showed up, I got arrested and fined. They told me that my words are considered a crime. Next they'll be coming for the thoughts in your mind. I knew they were wrong, I took my ticket and left. They're trying to make it difficult for those of us who resist. And with every headline the propaganda continues. Now they say I'm gonna need a shot to step in a venue, all according to script, going exactly as planned. Next they're gonna wanna put a microchip in our hand. They say conspiracy theory, and that's all that they do. But it isn't just a theory if it keeps coming true. And that's why I'm gonna just say no. 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 Just say what? Just say so no. This is where we're at now, the final boss battle. I'm not about to back down, I'm hopping in the saddle. I'm coming at it from a different angle like a southpaw. The system is corrupt, so it's good to be an outlaw. I'm rallying the troops, I'm looking for the lions who know that we will never get more freedom with compliance. If the passports happen, we won't get away with just one. They're gonna make us take a new shot every 6 months. It's only getting worse every time that we comply more. They take away the rights that our grandparents died for. Time to defy and let the vibes rise more. Make a better world for our kids, what we strive for. And that means getting rid of all restrictions and masks, saying no to passports and resisting the jab. It's time to kick some dust up like an unpaved road. So join me and Chris Guy and just say no. 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 Just say what? Just say no.
One of the birthing centers for Vancouver. They had 13 stillbirths in a 24-hour period. That was what I heard. But the thing is, I've also heard a similar story out in Waterloo, Ontario. So in Waterloo, Ontario, I have a more reliable statistic that there was 86 stillbirths between January and July. And normally it's only 5 or 6 stillbirths every year. So about one stillbirth every 2 months is the usual rate.
Just going to say, let's go back to December 4th now and talk about the West Edmonton Mall event. We've got the ad here. So the plan is to do that event December 4th, December 11th, and December 18th.
And we're catches on all around Canada. We already have people saying they're doing it in Niagara, Toronto, and I heard Saskatoon is doing it. So I'm getting calls from organizers all over Canada. So you should be pushing this in your city. It doesn't matter if you have a group of 20 or a group